In a significant verdict, the Rajasthan High Court has now directed the state to establish an authority or a tribunal to register live-in relationships. Now, this is to fix the liability of the partners regarding responsibility for the upbringing, education and health of children born of such relationships, and also to fix liability to the male partner for the maintenance of non-earning female partner residing in such relation and children born out of such relationships. Now, this, the court said, was being done because several live-in relationships and couples face danger from their families and society and are approaching the Constitutional Court for protection of their life as well as their liberty. In this, making it mandatory for persons in live-in relationship to register a live-in relationship agreement required. Should government now get into personal relationships, or was there a requirement to begin with to protect the family unit? How will it play out? Let's talk about all of that. Joining us on the News9 Plus show are lawyers Dr. Nandita as well as Dr. A.C. Philip. In the studio is my colleague Nivriti. Nivriti, I want to come to you first. I think it's a fundamental question that a lot of states are currently pursuing, and that is, should live-in relationships be registered? Should there be a recognition? Now, there are two sides to this debate. One, of course, is that some people think and believe that every relationship should be understood in the nature of the law, in the eye of the law. And the other side is that if you were to ask people to register such relationships, you are going to further ensure that these people are not protected, that they will be made to come out in public, and the privacy will be thrown out of the window. What's your take on what's really happening, and what has the government done in Rajasthan?
So, look, in Rajasthan, the court has said that these relationships should be registered, and you rightly pointed out that getting these relationships registered will bring them out in public, and public will come to know that yes, these people are into a live-in relationship. Considering that the relationships are not accepted in the society like marriage is accepted in our society because of the cultural values, it would be right to say that they are protected, or they are brought out in public and made more vulnerable. That is to be seen. But getting them registered is also important, because lot of cases, as the court has also said, that lot of cases are coming up where they are the people who are in a relationship, they have come out in the society, declared their relationships, but the society, their families, they have not accepted it, and because of that non-acceptance, they have become more vulnerable to violence from the society and sometimes also from within the family. But at the same time, you cannot deny the vulnerability within the relationship of like you must be remembering Shraddha Walkar case that happened in Delhi recently, where Shraddha Walkar was allegedly murdered by her live-in partner. So that is also one of the vulnerability where the intention of the partner is also not very clear.
Right.
What is the intention? Why is he or she is entering into the relationship? So both the partners are vulnerable, whether it is a male or female. So getting the relationship at least registered, because you don't have a particular law that defines a live-in relationship. There is not a particular law which handles this relationship. So getting it registered at least makes you protected from the getting registered will at least authorize
you. Absolutely.
Yeah, it will authorize your relationship, one, and then maybe some kind of protection can be provided from the society through courts, through police. And also making a relationship registered protects you within the relationship also.
Right.
That can be financial security, that can be your physical security. Like in Shraddha Walkar case, there was an incident where it was said that money was transferred from her account before she went missing, the money was transferred from her account to her
Right,
live-in partner's
absolutely,
account.
absolutely.
So all these things are also to be
Important
addressed.
aspects, absolutely. Let's take this question to Nandita. Nandita, I think it's a double-edged sword. On one hand, you have young, vulnerable people, young or old, age no bar, vulnerable people who are trying to live with somebody without being in confines of marriage, without being officially married, legally married, and therefore not wanting to come in public eye when it comes to being ceremoniously together. At the same time, there are some vulnerable cases, as my colleague pointed out, that of Shraddha Walkar, where there is little to no protection in the eye of the law. In a case scenario like this, is there a middle ground where you don't really have to acknowledge that you're really living with somebody in a live-in relationship, but at the same time can also be protected?
Well, this is a very technical question, to be honest, it is asked. To be honest, the first thing we need to understand is what is a living relationship and why actually today itself legislation has not given any clear-cut legislation to this live-in relationship. The only thing which is being admitted and the legislation is given, there is a marriage institution. Marriage institution from the initial times also, HMA Act has come forward and everything is there. Every protection is given to a woman in that. Now you talk about live-in relationship. If a girl wants to live with somebody or a boy wants to live with another man, then nowadays that is also a very controversial thing. Let us understand what this judgment has actually portrayed. This actually has given three-fold judgment, which is clearly saying, first and foremost, it is saying about the live-in relationship, how nowadays live-in relationships are going through, how the girls are sometimes sufferers and how sometimes it has been misused also.
Right.
But I am not going on that aspect. I am only going on the point that rather than thinking that live-in relationship is between a married woman or a married man, we have to understand all the aspects as per law also.
All right.
If a woman is actually going through this relationship or it's in a relationship with a man who is also a married man, then what is the fate of that woman who is married to that man? And what would be fate of this woman's husband? What will be the fate of both of them? So one sword cannot defend everything in live-in relationships name.
All right. I think it's going to be a difficult and a complex legislation. Dr. Philip, I think it's important to therefore get your expertise on the show. If one were to define live-in relationships similar to a marriage, I think there are going to be a lot of legal hurdles and challenges. So therefore, coming back to what is the middle ground here. But remember, this is going to really affect the society at large, how live-in relationships are perceived and pursued, and perhaps also deter a lot of people from going into live-in relationships, given that there will now be a legal scrutiny. What are the challenges that you're foreseeing?
Thank you, ma'am. The issues are concurrent with the marital relationship. Let us primarily understand how the marital relationship emerged from the primitive stage to the legal societies. So it was at a primitive stage, there was no regulation, then the tribal forms emerged, then civilized form that emerged into a cultural societies, that emerged into a religious societies having a religious ceremony, then ended up with finally with the legal abiding societies. So in that context, the marriage is a private affair. But in that context also, the state was required to enter into this aspect and regulate it through the legal form. Until unless we are not regulating it with a law, we cannot create a legally abiding society. So that is the history of marriage. Initially, it was not with a legal system. Now
Right.
it is a legal system. Same way, now live-in relationship is a modern aspect, but it is emerging. Now, today it may be 1 or 2%, tomorrow it may be a larger quantity.
Right.
So the law need to catch up with the social realities.
Okay.
Without catching up with the social realities, law cannot create a social legal order. Otherwise, it will lead to a social anarchy.
Got it. Dr. Philip, Absolutely. I think it's going to be a larger conversation. Unfortunately, we've run out of time. All of you, thank you very much for taking time out. I think this is a complex issue which with law will have to really catch up in time to come. But this is going to set precedent as far as live-in relationships is concerned. With other courts, other states follow suit, we'll have to wait and watch out. In a major ruling, a special CBI court has just ordered the transfer of all confiscated assets belonging to former Tamil Nadu Chief Minister Jayalalithaa to the Tamil Nadu government. Now, Jayalalitha's niece and nephew Jaydeepa and Jaydeepak had staked claims to the properties as her legal heirs. The Supreme Court has upheld the confiscation of her properties despite abating proceedings against her following her demise in 2016. Now, Jayalalitha's life was a captivating saga from child artist to a superstar and finally Tamil Nadu Chief Minister for over 14 years. But her political legacy is riddled with controversies. Accused of amassing disproportionate wealth, what happened to her riches after her death? Watch our story, Jaya's Jinxed Millions, only on News9 Plus app.
In India's legal system, prolonged trials sometimes outlast the accused. At times, the accused passes away before the verdict, leaving us with a question: what happens to their tainted fortunes? News9 Plus looks at the biggest cases against criminals, politicians, and scam artists and their accumulated wealth. Allegations of money laundering related to a land fraud case have also brought former Jharkhand Chief Minister Hemant Soren under the ED's radar. But we begin this series with the charismatic and enigmatic Jayalalithaa.